Hey everyone, in this episode I'm going to be talking about the Varroa mite incursion here in Australia. For those of you who didn't know, we didn't actually have Varroa mite in Australia up until about a year ago, at which time it was discovered in Newcastle, which is a city quite close to Sydney, and since then the State Department of Primary Industries have been trying really hard to contain it, trying to eradicate it, and they've been doing a fantastic job. But as we know, Varroa mite is quite difficult to deal with. So since then, we've seen it pop up a few places around New South Wales. And last week, it popped up in the almond pollination, which is really concerning. So in this episode, I'm going to be playing a few interviews that I've done over the last day and a half, talking about Varroa mites in general and also the efforts we're making here in Australia to produce the VSH line of bees. So in this first interview, I've got Matt Petersen, and he's going to tell us all about what's happening in terms of Varroa just at the moment. All right, Matt, can you tell us what's happening at the moment out there in terms of Varroa?
Well, the Varroa outbreak it's in New South Wales only, as far as we know from DPI. I think at present the latest release is at 231 IPs, of which four are within the almond pollination district in the Sunraysia area, and they have predominantly come from the Kempsey outbreak. So that's where we sit at the moment, which is a little bit worrying, yes.
Right, and what do you think it means in terms of other places around Australia, such as Victoria and South Australia and places like that?
It's very worrying for Victoria because of the amount of bees that have gone into the area. Obviously, it's state bees as well, so there's a lot of toing and froing in regards to bee traffic. I think it's inevitable, to be honest. We will all get it. I think the only states that probably have any chance of holding it off for some time will be obviously Tasmania and Western Australia. I think, they've got a bit of time to put things in place, but I think the eastern seaboard is basically one big paddock, so in regards to beekeeping. So I think we're in a little bit of trouble, yeah.
And so, just for listeners who are not aware of what's actually happening at the moment, the current state of affairs is that we're in a state of eradication. Is that right?
Yep, correct. Yes.
And we're sticking with that at the moment.
We are at the moment. There was a CCEPP meeting yesterday, and as far as I'm aware, that meeting is still going today in regards to what happens in regards to the eradication policy and the planning towards whether a decision's made that it's too far gone, and whether they call it endemic or how they do that. That's anyone's guess, but yeah.
And what measures do you think? What kind of measures are they taking at the moment in the almond pollination areas?
So we've got those four IPs. We've got those four IPs, which are, for people who haven't been to the almonds or do pollination, these are really, really vast, big farms. So to give people an idea, the distances are huge. I have bees still currently on almonds, and they're about 140 kilometres away from the closest outbreak at Euston. So that gives you an idea of the distances between these places. So there's been heavy surveillance in any hives around those IPs. Within those IPs, really heavy surveillance. They're putting miticide strips in with sticky mats, which are really effective way of detecting existing mites. In regards to us, we have our minimum wash reporting we have to do before and after. And in New South Wales, it's a permit system. So everything that goes to the almonds or comes out of the almonds from New South Wales is traceable, which is a very, very important part of this. I mean, the pollination sector is very, very essential in regards to, the people within Australia, our population and our food production. But at the same time, we're trying to deal with a massive biosecurity breach, so to speak, issue. And traceability is key to, if something does pop out, they can hopefully trace where it's come from or where it's gone to.
Okay, well, that was really good to have Matt here on the show to tell us about what's currently happening. And Matt's actually heading up to the almonds next week to bring back his bees, so hopefully he doesn't have any issues bringing them home safely. All the best for that, Matt. Up next, I've got Richard Sims. Now, Richard is the president of the Australian Queen Bee Breeders Association, and he's also the newly appointed chair for the Australian Queen Bee Importation Committee. So Richard's going to tell us a little bit about what's actually happening in terms of what we're doing to bring in the VSH gene here into Australia.
Well, my idea is to get everybody working on the same page. There is no point having lots of little queen bee breeding programs running around. So the AQBBA has we've taken a step ahead, and we're trying to get together a national or a federal funded queen bee breeding program, VSH queen bee breeding program. So, and this will cost a lot of money and time to do. And what I'm in contact with the Russian queen bee breeding program in America, and what they're telling us is that just using chemicals won't work, and just trying to use queen bees, VSH queen bees, won't work. It's got to be a mixture of both. So where they've fallen down and why they're in a mess at the moment is that they went down the chemical path to start with. And of course, as you all know, the mites get used to the chemicals, and it was reported they had a 50% loss of their production hives last year. That was in the American Bee Journal. So what we're trying to do is get on the front foot here before the mite gets out any further, is try and get a queen bee breeding, VSH queen bee breeding program going on in Australia, because it's going to take years to establish something. Because even if we say we had a heap of money and we could start it tomorrow, you've still got to get the semen in here. To get queens in here, I've sent you the price list of how much it costs to bring a queen bee into Australia through Mickleham. So the semen is a slower route, but it's less complicated. But to get everything up and running, it would take a minimum of a couple of years, and then get up to production to get queens out to help the Australian industries. We're probably looking at a timeline of 3 or 4 or 5 years, to get the numbers out that you want. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a program going. Like, we could do it privately, and then just cash in. But what we prefer to do is do it federally, and then benefit the industry and not just benefit ourselves. And by doing it that way, we can it's no point in breeding a bee that does absolutely fantastic here in Bundaberg and then goes to Tasmania and won't come out of the hive. And it's also no point going to having one that won't produce in say, South Australia won't do what's needed or won't do anything in Western Australia. Because whether Western Australia like to think it or not, they're going to get the mite in the end. So, so there's a lot of breeding to go on. There's a lot of testing. There's got to be beekeepers who are willing, queen bee breeders who are willing, and beekeepers willing to use these queens and then report back accurate information. So the genetics can be changed and adjusted if they have to be, and other things bred into them and all that sort of thing. So that's where the AQBVA is heading, and I'd like to think that the import committee would come on board and help become one big show and go that way.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Richard, for being on the show. And over the next couple of months, Richard's going to be working with Ray Butler in New Zealand to bring in the VSH gene. The big issue we've got there is making sure that we don't import any of the viruses that are normally associated with Varroa, such as deformed wing virus. Luckily, at the moment, we haven't discovered any of those viruses in the bees that we've discovered with Varroa, so it's likely that we don't have them, which is really good. We just got to make sure that we don't bring them in. So that's going to be quite a careful sort of process there. Now, next I've got Corinne Jordan on the show. So Corinne is a queen breeder from Queensland, and she was on the show a couple of months ago talking about a new program which is called beegenetics.com.au, in which she's using UBO to find VSH here in the stocks that we currently have in Australia. So she's just started that program, and we've got some great news that she's discovered in 2 commercial apiaries the VSH gene, which is really great. So as you know, VSH is not a sort of a yes or no thing in a beehive. It's based on a scale between 1 to 100. So, and that's based on how many of the caps are uncapped when the spray is put onto the brood. So last week, Corinne discovered in 2 apiaries that we had some that are in the 50s and some that are even higher in the 60% range. So that's really, really great news. And Corinne's here to tell us all about it. Corinne Jordan, welcome back to the show. Now, Corinne, you've had some really interesting results that you're going to share with us.
Yeah, so it's early days yet, but I'm trying not to get too excited, but I've gone north, so I'm in central Queensland now, and I've tested 2 other beekeepers' stocks for potential Varroa resistance, and both of them have results higher than mine, which is really exciting. And one of them has results into the range where we're looking at they're already potentially protective. So they're in that high, what Kira Wagner calls the high UBO, between 60 and 100%. So
wow.
That's good news for me, because it means that we're starting at a higher base than I anticipated, and we should be able to see some results a lot faster. Fingers crossed.
That's amazing.
That things keep going like this. It just could be I got lucky, and the best thing about it is they're already commercially viable bees. They've been pre-selected for this project by the queen breeders who'd already identified them as good commercially, to have good commercial characteristics other than the potential Varroa resistance. So yeah, it's a really good start to the project. I'm really happy.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you've got 2 commercial queen breeders who both are exhibiting traits for VSH. That's incredible.
Correct.
Really great start.
Yeah. Yep. very good.
So that means
So
that
really,
potentially, if you were to crossbreed those two strains, then we could potentially have a VSH line here in Australia already.
yes, we're likely to be able to have a VSH line in Australia fairly shortly. And the good news is they're not related to my stock and they're not related to each other. So crossing them over, we're not going to have any problems with inbreeding. And yeah, it's looking good.
That's absolutely
Better than I
amazing.
expected.
Congratulations to you, Corinne. That's fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot more testing to do. This is the first 100 or so still got about 400 to go. So yeah, but yeah, it's showing good promise.
Okay, well, nice to be able to finish on a positive note for this episode. Fantastic work that's been done by Corinne Jordan and Richard Sims. That's incredible work. I'd also like to give a shout out to Richard Sims once again and to Paul Rodder for being the two commercial queen producers that Corinne worked with in the last week to find the VSH rated bees. So keep up the good work, all of you. I'd also like to say fantastic job to the Department of Primary Industries in New South Wales, DPI. They've been doing an amazing job for over a year now trying to eradicate the Varroa mite, and all of the volunteers. Congratulations to all. You have all done an amazing job. Hopefully, between the efforts of DPI and the different programs, we come out of this okay. And over the next couple of weeks, while decisions are being made, all the best to everyone and take care of yourselves. Bye for now.